We had Nigeria's acting President Goodluck Jonathan install his new cabinet yesterday afternoon, now hopefully putting the Nigerian government back on track to fully initiating reforms, especially within the oil and gas sectors, and then the banking arena as well, which is ranked amongst the government's top priorities, but also to effectively running a country. The new ministers include 13 returnees from the outgoing cabinet, and they'll be critical in achieving set goals in Africa's most populous country. Opeyemi Agbaje, CEO of Resource Trust, joins us now to provide his perspective on what's unfolded there. Opeyemi, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Well, we had the new cabinet being sworn in yesterday, and consensus seems to be that the step needed to be taken to ensure that acting President Goodluck Jonathan didn't reside as a stopgap measure until the next elections are held over in Nigeria. What's your overall take on the reshuffle that's happened?
Well, overall, it's clear that the acting president took the opportunity to consolidate his hold on power. Many of his key allies appear to have been placed in the most important positions, and he has personally taken responsibility for the power sector, which is clearly emerging as a major priority for the government. I think that in the most important positions, he appears to have been a bit careful in putting the people that will be acceptable by and large in those positions, for instance, finance, petroleum, foreign affairs, and those critical positions. So overall, I see a lot of political consolidation, but of course, there's not been a complete sacrifice of merit in the positioning.
Let's take a look at the oil sector specifically. We've seen former Mines Minister Diezani Alison Madueke and Godse Urubebe move now to the new oil and Niger Delta ministers' spaces. Some are questioning Minister Diezani Alison Madueke's position at the moment, questioning whether she has the gravitas to actually roll off with the reforms that are currently underway within the oil and gas space in Nigeria. Your view on that appointment specifically?
Well, Diezani Alison Madueke came into the cabinet originally from an executive position at Shell in Nigeria. So she's familiar with the oil industry. Now, the question of whether, like you said, she has the gravitas to operate such a large and significant economic position, it remains to be seen. But yes, she's an industry insider to the extent that she worked with Shell. I think that the most significant point is that the perspectives of the international oil majors, which appear to have been neglected somewhat under the reforms being articulated by the former ministers, may now get some hearing. We know the oil majors have been concerned about the fiscal structures in the proposed petroleum industry bill. We should expect that Diezani would be more amenable to listen to their concerns.
Well, in the banking space, we've got Finance Minister Olusegun Aganga taking position there, and many confident that he will continue with the reform agenda, that he'll ensure that Nigeria continues its embarkment on a fiscal discipline moving forward. Where the pressure comes from, though, is to disperse funds this year with the elections running so close. So how do you see him playing that balancing act moving forward?
I think that's probably the most interesting of the cabinet placements. I think it sends the right signal to international investors, the international community. Olusegun Aganga is not a politician, so he will be less affected by the political imperatives that the political system will want to exert in this year. Indeed, many of the politicians from Lagos State, where he came from, opposed his nomination, precisely because he wasn't viewed as somebody that would bring back the pork, as it were. Yeah. So I think he's a good position. I think he's well placed to supervise the international bond that Nigeria proposes to raise. It sends a signal that we're back on the path of reform and that we're willing to speak with the international community. I like that particular appointment.
Well, Opeyemi, unfortunately, not enough time to go through all of the intricacies of these moves that we've seen come to the fore. We're going to have to leave that discussion there.